Welcome to the Teach Joyfully podcast, where we talk about all things elementary teaching with some mom stuff thrown in. I'm Lisa Burns, a teacher success coach, veteran elementary teacher, and mom of 5. I'll be your host. Thanks for joining me. So let's talk today about your new normal. As we work from home in these trying times, we have to continue to keep up with our work while still managing our own families and home life, and all while figuring out the details of this new way of teaching and trying to take care of ourselves. Here's a few tips to help you apply what we know about organization, routines, and habits to this new life you're living. First off, you need and deserve a break. If you aren't giving yourself a mental and physical break every day and week, you're going to wear yourself out and make yourself sick, or both. And that means you'll be unable to help anyone else. I know that's not a newsflash, but it needs to be said. We all need to admit it. Teachers overall tend to be terrible at self-care. We put everyone else first and ourselves last. Working all the time is an unsustainable life, and working all the time when you're in a stressful situation is even worse. I know it can feel like you're taking control by taking care of all these little details and things all the time, but there's a balance and we need to find it. In fact, when we get the mental and physical rest that we need daily and weekly, we're more productive, happier, and more focused in all we're trying to do. I know taking a break seems counterproductive when you have a lot to get done. Time to rest, process, and even grieve for the loss of your normalcy. Normal things like seeing your students every day, your classroom, and your colleagues. It's important to take time to grieve for that. You need time for you, even if it's just a short time each day. Finding a new normal for the rest of this school year is challenging, but as the days go by and we figure out the details of teaching our students remotely, it's important to come up with new routines, because honestly, a lot of those old routines simply aren't working anymore. At least not in this situation. Here's a few things your new days should include: exercise, prayer or meditation, a system for planning and grading in batches so you're not working all the time, family time, rest, and time for something that you enjoy doing just for you. It's a lot to pack into one day. In this bonus episode, I'm sharing my systems for adapting routines and habits to create sustainable virtual teaching lives. There is a reason why I start with things like exercise and prayer or meditation first. If we can fill our own cup, and for once, I don't mean a coffee cup, we're better able to serve our students and pivot in our teaching as needed. Think about it. How do you want to feel when you begin the rest of your day? Take a minute and think about, what does your morning already look like? Think about what's working and what's not working. Now we're going to keep the good and adjust the rest. So the very first thing is to decide what activities will help you achieve the feeling that you want. It's really about setting yourself up emotionally for the rest of your day, not about what tasks you actually complete. That's why you need to start with the feeling in order to start building your best morning routine. And that's true anytime, much less during a stressful time. If you're stressed and haven't taken the time to take care of yourself, the stress or pressure simply builds. I like to think of it this way. Think of a pool with a pool float in it. We can push that pool float down under the water, our feelings, our personal needs, all of that stuff, and hold it there for quite a long time, actually, but it takes effort to keep it there under the water. If we let go, even for a second, that pool float will pop right back up to the surface. And there it is, all of our urgent unmet needs, feelings we haven't dealt with, and stress will come right back to haunt us. This is an exhausting way to live. To tamp down all of those feelings, all of that pressure, all of our unmet needs, and hold it down all the time is actually creating even more stress for you. You have to find a way to give yourself the grace to deal with it all. So that the first thing on your list needs to be self-care. That might mean getting up a bit earlier or staying up a bit after the kids are in bed. Maybe it looks like your spouse watching the kids so you can take a walk or go hang out in another room alone for a bit each day. Take turns. If you're a single parent, then you're definitely going to need to take time before the kids are up or after they go to bed, because you simply can't guarantee that you're going to get that time later in the day. If you do, it's a bonus. It doesn't matter when you're getting time for you, as long as you're getting that self-care time. And that means more than Netflix at the end of the day. I'm all for watching Netflix, but that's extra. You need to have things that you do just for you in addition to that. I should also mention that self-care means giving yourself lots of grace in this stressful time. It's okay when things don't measure up to what you had planned. Even your teaching. Just do your best and try again tomorrow. One foot in front of the other each hour, day, and week. So let me give you an example of fitting in some self-care time. When our kids were little and my husband traveled 50% of the time, I made a point of getting myself up an hour earlier so that I could have time to myself before the kids got up, because that was the only time I was going to get all day for sure. Yes, sometimes I got time during the day when they napped or when they were busy, but I couldn't guarantee that. That was just bonus time. And I knew that I would be too tired to do anything but sleep or watch TV at the end of the day. So morning it was. It was agony getting up that early some days, especially when we had a fussy child at night. But I did it because I always felt better if I had that time. As I always say, a happy mommy is a good mommy. Now, as a little bit of an aside, I want to say if you're really grieving and struggling with all the changes in your life, there are counselors out there working online right now. There's help. Check your insurance, find a counselor. This is self-care too. Use it if you need it, and you're not alone. So many of us are struggling. Getting help is taking care of you. Also, your kids might be struggling as well. If they're exhibiting signs of sadness, stress, and overwhelm right now, you might consider family counseling or counseling for your kids as well. Think of it as a gift you can give yourself and your family. Once you have a morning routine in place, then you need to start looking at your daily schedules. You're going to need a new daily schedule, and I recommend having a work startup routine as well. It's okay if each day of the week is a little bit different. You might have different things that you're doing each day. You may not be live online teaching every day. So that's the case. You're going to define each day's routine. Write them down. You can always make adjustments, but you have to have some sort of structure or life will be a hot mess. Now, a work startup routine is things you do right before you begin work. It tells your brain that this is now professional mode and I need to get my mindset ready in order to teach. I have certain things I do before I start my work for the day. I might get my space ready, get supplies that I need, whatever it is, but I have a routine for that. You can have a routine for you as well. Write it down, make a list of all the details that you need in order to get started and to be ready and not scrambling around finding the bits and pieces. If you have kids at home, you need to create systems and routines for them as well. Here's why. When you're busy teaching or talking to a parent on the phone, your kids need to know how and when to ask for help, when to interrupt you, and when not to interrupt you. Just like you had those routines in your classroom, you need them at home as well. They need to know what to do when you're busy and they're stuck. In addition, having checklists for your kids can also help. Checklists can give each day a framework, a shape to the day. It can help your kids feel like they're making progress, are in charge of their time, and are working towards their free time. It feels good to check things off of a list and feel like you're making progress. It also gives them a sense of control. This can be very comforting to kids. You can create a checklist for younger kids that is all pictures. It works. They can do a checklist too. You can create daily checklists for your students as well. This will help them and their families and give them some sense of normalcy and control. For your own kids, I strongly suggest you create a list of free time activities that they like. It can be different for each child. This will help them choose what to do each day while you're busy or just need a break or even just for their free time. It can help eliminate some of the "I'm bored" syndrome and "I don't know what to do." Now, if you have little kids at home, you're going to need to prepare an extra step. What are you going to do when those littles want your time and attention, which they will the very second that you're teaching live or you're on the phone with a parent? It happens every time. It's just like when you go to the bathroom. Suddenly all the kids are standing outside the door and they urgently need things from you at that moment in time. It's going to be that way every time you get on the phone or you're teaching live online. So you need to prepare for that. Something I used to do when I need to make important phone calls when my kids were little is I used to have a laundry basket of toys that I kept just for when I was on the phone. My kids did not have access to them at any other time. That was it. So these were special. Right before I was getting on the phone, I'd get that basket of toys out and get them busy. They were quiet toys. None of them made noise. They were engaging and they were things they loved. Some of them were books. There were all kinds of things, but they never got to see them any other time. As soon as I was off the phone, all the toys got put back in the basket and the basket got put back in the cabinet and they weren't available for play until the next time I needed to be on the phone. It worked like magic. If you have littles at home, know that sometimes you're going to have to teach with a small child in your lap. It's just life. Get your mind around that and be okay with it. Then when it happens, you'll just roll with it. Have a plan for how you'll entertain them. Include them in lessons or console them while you're teaching. Maybe you'll have to train your students to ignore a crying child, so you'll need a plan for students to be answering questions while you mute your microphone in between. Sometimes you might need to end a lesson early. It's okay. Give yourself and your family some grace, and while you're at it, remember that your students and their families are dealing with similar issues and give them some grace as well. Another way to help you stay on track is to prep lunch for each child and yourself in the morning or the night before. It's easy to become a short order cook simply because you're all home. It will eat up your day. Have a meal plan at the very least. At the end of each workday, make a schedule or checklist for the next day. Who will you call? What emails do you need to send? Think about when will you do those things? How and when will you care for yourself? What online meetings do you have? Put down all the items that have firm times and then schedule some self-care around that. Then schedule things you need to do for your family and your teaching. I put self-care in there before I put some of these other things simply because your time is like money. If you don't have a plan for it, it will disappear before you decide how to spend it. And typically, teachers usually spend time on themselves last instead of first, and they wind up burnout, exhausted, and absolutely unable to do all the things they want to do to the best of their ability. So give yourself that grace of some self-care. It also helps to have school contact info ready for parents who are having tech issues or need other help from the school. If you don't have to scramble to find all that information for them, then you can quickly copy, paste, and send it, and then be on with the rest of your day. They get the help they need, and your day has minimal interruptions. Batch your parent communication, grading, and planning. Create a plan for what you will do each day and different times of the day. I strongly suggest that you do your planning one day each week. Commit to a couple of hours where you're going to plan for the entire next week. So another way for you to gain back some control and save yourself some time is by creating templates for your weekly and daily emails. Now, this takes a little bit of extra time up front, but boy, will it save you later on. So what I do is I create templates for things like my regular weekly update to families. Anything that you normally send on a regular basis, even if it's only a couple of times a year, those things will save you time and money because now you're not sitting at your keyboard going, I have to create an entire new email and my brain is dead. because that happens at the end of the day or in between when you have a little bit of time. It's hard to come up with that email in a very quick manner. So if you already have a template, you can copy, paste, edit, and send. These kinds of systems will make your life so much easier. Another strategy is batching. I batch parent communication, grading, and planning. Start by creating a plan for each day and week. Schedule time to plan 1 day a week. If you need to do 2 days a week, that's fine, but I prefer one because you're going to have lots of other tasks to do, and that frees you up those other times. Have a day or two that you'll do all the grading. Some teachers like 1 day, some teachers like 2 days. It just depends on how you feel about the mound of grading that's going to accumulate. But schedule it. Get it on your calendar. If you do that, it makes life so much easier. Plan a time or times each day for parent communication so it doesn't eat up your whole day. Especially right now as we're at home and teaching online, you really need to have specific time set aside for parent communication because parents are going to need a lot of things. Some things will be urgent and some things won't. You need to be able to filter through quickly and decide what's urgent and deal with it and set the rest aside so you can deal with that all at once and then be done with it. Otherwise, you'll be in your email or on the phone all day. So a quick recap on all the things we've talked about. Plan your time, including your self-care time. Self-care is important. You need to make yourself a priority. Checklists for your own kids and lists of things to do while they wait or have free time are essential. Have a system for your own children to let you know when they need help and something for them to do while they wait when you're busy. This can head a lot of problems off at the past and a lot of frustration. Batch your grading and planning tasks. I can't tell you how much batching helps. I know it seems like it's counterproductive sometimes because you want that grading off your desk or that planning off your desk, but if you're doing little bits at a time, you're always grading and always planning, and it starts to really wear on you. You need to free up large chunks of time so you have more time for your family and more time for other things as they come up. Batch your communication to 2 to 3 scheduled times a day. Check your email quickly in the morning, deal with anything that's important, and set the rest aside until later in the day. You can check your email a couple times a day and then have one time during the day when you're going to really deal with all the emails that have accumulated, anything that was not urgent. Create templates for your teaching slides, regular communication emails, anything that you are going to use over and over again. Create a template for that. If you have little ones at home, create a plan for them. Have a list of things that they can do each day that will entertain them, that they enjoy, and that mixes it up a little each day so that they aren't getting bored too. I hope this helps you find some balance in this crazy time. So I have some resources for you. All the links are in the show notes, so don't worry. There's a Batching 101 checklist. There's Balancing Virtual Teaching with Mom Life cheat sheet. Has all kinds of great stuff in there. Purposeful sponge activities for elementary classroom. Great for your own kids or families looking for activities so you can share with them. And I have a parent email templates guide. If you are really interested in that, there's a few sample emails in there for you already, so you might want to take a look at that as well. I have links to all kinds of resources, some mentioned in the episode, and even some extras in my show notes on the website. They're at www.hopeineducation.com/podcast. So that's it, my teacher friends. We're out of time and I'm out of breath. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you liked today's episode, I'd love it if you go to Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen and leave a review. While you're there, hit the subscribe button so you'll never miss an episode. Also, you can continue the conversation online with me in my Facebook group, the Teach Joyfully podcast community, where elementary teachers can connect and get help and encouragement for all kinds of education and parenting topics. And remember, a happy teacher is a good teacher, and a happy mom is a good mom. Until next time, teach joyfully and take care of you. So I have some resources for you. All the links are in the show notes, so don't worry. There's a Batching 101 checklist. There's Balancing Virtual Teaching with Mom Life cheat sheet. Has all kinds of great stuff in there.